Hello everyone and welcome back to the Lair of the Overmind. I thought I'd just make a video real quick and share with you guys all of the details for the new patch in Diablo 3, patch 2.0.4. I'm just going to go ahead and read down the list, so if you would like to see these in quicker detail or just look at what you're interested in, you can check out the patch notes yourself by looking in the game launcher. It should have a link to it. Otherwise, just sit back, grab a snack or something, and I'll just read these off to you. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Below you will find the patch notes. General. Greatly increase the survivability of pets summoned by several items and skills, including Skycutter, Maximus, Gibdin, Genzen, Iku, all of those good ones. Call of the Ancients, Falling Sword, good stuff, good stuff. All town hubs have had the placement of the Nephilim Rift, Obelisk, Auric, and Kadala adjusted to help reduce the chance of accidental clicking. And the Blacksmith's Belongings box in Act 1 no longer has collision. Let's see here. Classes. There's a bunch of class changes. For the Barbarian, we have Philosophy. Many skills that spend Fury feel great, but when it comes time to generate Fury, the single target options don't feel meaty compared to the generators that can hit more than one target at a time. As a result, we are increasing the potency of those single target generators to be more competitive. Bash has been increased base damage from 170 to 215. The rune Clobber has increased chance to stun for 1.5 seconds from 30 to 35%. The skill rune Onslaught increased additional damage from 80% to 100% weapon damage. Frenzy increased base damage from 120% to 155%. Warcry bug fixed an issue preventing the 5 seconds of paused fury degeneration after casting Warcry from working. Weapon Throw increased base damage from 150 to 185% weapon damage. Skill rune Mighty Throw increased damage from 210 to 270. That's a pretty hefty increase. Skill rune Throwing Hammer increased chance to stun from 30% to 40%. And now for the Crusader. I'm going to warn you guys right now, the majority of this patch, I believe, is buffs and adjustments to the Crusader. So let's try to get this out of the way as fast as we can. Philosophy. Many of the Crusader's Wrath Spenders are below where we would like, while Heaven's Fury, Fires of Heaven, was overperforming. We are toning back Fires of Heaven while increasing the potency of most of the other Crusader Spenders to encourage greater build exploration. Single target Wrath Generator spells Punish and Justice don't feel meaty compared to the generators that can hit more than one target at a time. As a result, we are increasing the potency of Punish and Justice to be more competitive. Also, making a few adjustments to improve Steed Charge. The cooldown and duration of the skill have both been reduced. Overall, this makes the total uptime for the skill slightly higher, and more importantly, you'll be able to hit the button more often. We're removing the ability for Steed Charge to break stuns, which allows us to focus on Steed Charge being primarily a mobility skill that can still get you out of root effects, such as Jailer. We still want Steed Charge to be useful in combat, so we're also increasing the damage on damage-focused runes. General. Crusaders now take 15% less damage from all sources. I wonder if that stacks with the Monk and Barbarian, 30% reduced damage, or if that he just has a 15%, which kind of would put him in the middle, I guess. Active skills. Akarat's Champion, Skill Rune Rally. Fixed an issue where Rally would not reduce the cooldown of Condemn. Blessed Hammer. Skill Rune Burning Wrath. Increased radius from 5 to 8 yards, which is pretty awesome. Increased pool damage from 95 to 150% weapon damage. Skill rune Icebound Hammer. Bug fix. They fixed an issue where Icebound Hammer wasn't chilling enemies. That's pretty beneficial. You probably want your ice move to freeze. Yeah. Icebound Hammer no longer goes away when exploding. Blessed Shield increased base damage from 280 to 340% weapon damage. Pretty hefty increase. Skill rune Combust increased damage from 105 to 270% weapon damage. That's a huge increase. Skill rune Shattering Throw increased damage from 50% to a whopping 333% weapon damage. Known issue. The tooltip for this skill rune does not reflect this change. But that doesn't mean the change is not in effect, because it in fact is. Fist of the Heavens increased base skill impact from 250 to 340% weapon damage. Increased base skills bolt damage from 210 to 340% weapon damage. Skill rune Divine Well, increased damage from 14% to 80% weapon damage. Huge buff. Increased the zap radius from 12 to 18 yards. Skill rune Fissure, increased area of effect from 80% to 400% weapon damage from over 5 seconds. Increased arc capsule damage radius from 3 to 6 yards. Basically what I'm seeing here with these Crusader changes is that I really need to make a Crusader and play through with one. Skill rune Tempest, bug fixed an issue where Heaven's Tempest was not moving around in its intended pattern. Heaven's Fury, skill rune Fires of Heaven, reduced damage from 950% to 735% weapon damage. A bit of a nerf there, but with all the other buffs, that doesn't really matter too much. Increased for Justice base skill damage from 175 to 240% weapon damage. Skill rune Burst, increased damage from 25 to 30%. Skill rune Hammer of Pursuit now seeks targets more quickly after cast, and increased damage from 200 to 300% weapon damage. Pretty nice buff for Justice there. Phalanx, increased base skill damage from 295 to 380% weapon damage. Skill rune Bowman, increased damage from 85 to 160%. Skill rune Bodyguard, increased damage from 200% to 285%. Skill rune Shield Charge, increased damage from 75 to 180%, more than double. That's pretty nice. Skill rune Stampede, increased stun chance from 25 to 30%. Punish, increased base skill damage from 200 to 270% weapon damage. Very nice. Retaliate, increased damage from 70% to 94%. Shield Bash, increased base skill damage from 325 to 370% weapon damage. Skill rune Crumble, increased death proc damage from 550% to 660% weapon damage. Skill rune Pound, increased damage from 550 to 740% weapon damage. And increased bonus damage from shield block chance from 150 to a massive 500. Very good. Let's see what changes they're making to Steed Charge. Reduced base skill cooldown from 25 to 16 seconds, so you'll be able to use it about twice as often almost. Reduced base skill duration time from 2 to 1.5 seconds, so it'll be a little bit shorter, but that's totally fine. No longer breaks stun, but it will still break rooting effects like they mentioned, such as Jailer and whatnot. Let's see here. Skill rune Endurance, reduced duration from 3 to 2 seconds. Skill rune Ramming Speed, increased damage from 475% to 515% weapon damage. Whew, bit of a mouthful of air here. Skill rune Ramming Speed, increased damage from 475 to 515 weapon damage. Skill rune Nightmare, bug fixed an issue where the fire pools were not lasting their full intended duration. Skill rune Drawn Quarter, increased damage from 125 to 185% weapon damage. Sweep Attack, increased base damage from 400 to 440% weapon damage. Passive skills, Lord Commander now reduces the cooldown of Steed Charge by 25% and Bombardment by 35%. And that'll wrap up the changes for the Crusader. Whew, okay, changes for the Demon Hunter. Philosophy, many skills that spent hatred feel great, but when it comes time, slow down, to generate hatred, the single target options don't feel meaty compared to the generations that can hit more than one target at a time. I wonder if they just looked at that across all classes. As a result, we are increasing the potency of a few single target generators to be more competitive. Active skills, Evasive Fire, increased base middle shot damage from 160 to 200% weapon damage, increased base side shot damage from 180 to 100%, or not 180, but 80%. Skill rune Covering Fire, bug fixed a bug causing the side shot damage to be lower than the amount listed. Increased the damage of the side shots from 160% to 200% weapon damage, and increased the range of the side shots from 50% to 80% to match the range of the middle shot. Hungering Arrow, increased base damage from 125% to 155% weapon damage, and Sentry, skill rune Guardian Turret. The damage reduction from this rune will now be reflected in the toughness display. That's pretty sweet, actually. Kind of help you further determine exactly where your toughness is at with your sentries and whatnot. For monks, I Apparently they crossed out monks are working as intended and dashing strike is perfectly balanced. That must be a joke, or something along that line. There are no monk changes at this time. Monks are currently in a fairly comfortable place, but as with all aspects of the game, we will continue to monitor them and make changes as needed. It's kind of sad, no changes to the monks, but that's okay. Witch Doctor, we're almost done here. Well, more than halfway through. The Witch Doctor was lacking good options for when they were low on mana. A lack of attractive signature spells results in builds primarily focused on sustaining mana for long periods of time. We are increasing the potency of a few single target signature spells to be more competitive so that there are still aggressive options while waiting for mana to regenerate. Haunt has received some changes to provide low mana option as well as to emphasize options for a damage over time playstyle. Active skills. Poison Dart. Increase the base damage from 155% plus 40% to 185% plus 40% weapon damage. Little bit of a buff there. Skill Rune. Splinters. Increase damage from 65 to 105% weapon damage per dart. Skill Rune. Spine Dart. Increased amount of mana returned from 25 to 50. That's pretty good. Skill Rune. Flaming Dart. Increased damage from 275 to 425% weapon damage over 4 seconds. Pretty good increase there. Damage over time from Flaming Dart can now stack with itself. That is incredibly awesome. Skill Rune, Snake to the Face, one of my favorite skills. Stun chance increase from 25% to 33 through 35%. I wonder what that means. Is it just random, or I don't know. Corpse Biters, increased base skill damage from 216 to 324% weapon damage. Just over 100% extra weapon damage. That's pretty nice. Skill Rune Leaping Spiders. Increased damage from 238 to 383% weapon damage. Skill Rune Blazing Spiders. Increased damage from 259 to 400% weapon damage. Firebomb. Skill Rune Pyrogeist. Increased the damage from 560% to a pretty big 880% weapon damage. And then finally for the Witch Doctor, Haunt. Reduced mana cost from 200 to 50. So we'll see a lot more haunting, I believe. Increased base skill damage from 1465% over 6 seconds to 4,000 over 12 seconds. Pretty big increase there. A lot more haunt going to be used, I believe, in Witch Doctor builds. Okay, and lastly we have the Wizard Philosophy. 2 skills on the Wizard, Arcane Orb, Frozen Orb, and Electrocute, have bugs with their implementation. Unfortunately, these bug fixes do have the side effect of weakening these skills. Ultimately, this brings these skills back in line with other Wizard skills, which is why we chose to implement these fixes. Teleport is receiving some changes to allow it to work in more situations. The range is being increased overall for each cast of Teleport. As a result, the Wormhole rune is receiving a reduction in the number of successive casts that can be completed. Previously, you could cover 140 yards in 4 casts, and now you can cover 150 yards in 3 casts. Overall, this is a buff. Yeah, you have to cast it one less time, and you actually get to go 10 yards further. Let's see, active skills. Arcane Orb, Frozen Orb, Bug Fix. Fixed an issue where the Frozen Orb was chilling for longer than intended. Bug Fix. Fixed an issue where the Frozen Orb bonus damage radius was hitting a larger area than intended. Electrocute. Skill Rune, Surge of Power. Reduced proc scalar from 0.25 to 0.166. Teleport. Increased range from 35 to 50 yards. That'll help you get out of hairy situations a lot easier. Skill Rune Wormhole. Reduced maximum allowed teleports from 4 to 3. As mentioned above, you actually get further teleportation doing that. So, yay for wizards. Passive skill. Arcane Dynamo. Now properly grants bonus damage to channeled spells. Prodigy. Fixed an issue where Electrocute was granting double the intended amount of arcane power when used with Prodigy. Okay, and now finally we look at the other non-class specific fixes. Adventure Mode. The Nephilim Obelisks now have a short cast time before they can activate, so no more accidentally using your Rift Keystones. Adjusted the potential layouts for sewer and aqueduct-style dungeons to include more randomized options. That's always nice. Crafting. Level 70 crafted sets no longer require flawless royal gems and instead now require marquee gems. The drop rate of unique legendary crafting materials has been significantly increased, and this matches the drop rate of Death's Breaths. So I would assume you getting Forgotten Souls from Rift bosses, you would just be able to look at the Death's Breaths table to see their likelihood of dropping, and they could probably drop about the same rate from elite mobs as well. Oh, let's see here. Death's Breaths are no longer required for level 61 to 70 rare crafting recipes. Bug fix. Legendary crafted shields now provide the correct amount of block value for their level. Items. The treasure from resplendent chests has been improved to feel more resplendent. I just want to make a quick note on that specific item fix. I was playing today for about 2 hours, playing like through rifts with friends of mine and stuff, and almost every resplendent chest I opened gave me like a single rare and then maybe a blue item and a gem. So seeing that fix, I was kind of frustrated because I thought they didn't actually implement it. Although, like 15 to 20 minutes before I stopped playing, we opened up a resplendent chest, and it actually dropped me 2 legendaries, 3 rares, a blue, and a gem. So it's a bit sad I didn't get that on record. Oh well, but they did indeed fix the resplendent chests to give a lot more loot. I've never, ever got 2 legendaries out of a chest before. That was pretty awesome. In any case, moving on. Bug fix. Legendary follower relics will no longer roll incorrect primary stats. Malthael is now much more afraid and will more consistently drop the Reaper's Fear legendary crafting material. Gloves of Worship no longer grant 60-minute buffs for empowered or fleeting shrines. So that's a item that I'm going to have to try and find in the game, because I'd love my shrines to last a lot longer than they normally do. Monsters. Damage from ghosts with the Soul Siphon ability has been reduced. That's going to please a lot of people. Really hate those ghosts, especially in rifts. Poison Enchanted. Duration of each Poison Enchanted Gobdu is reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. Maximum number of Poison Enchanted Gobdus has been reduced from 4 to 3 per cast. Poison Enchanted is now triggered with more variation in timing from champion packs. The Kill Malthael quest is now required to be completed before Malthael will drop loot. So you can't get stuff from Malthael apparently the first time you kill him. If I'm understanding that correctly, you have to go and kill him multiple times after that in order to try and farm stuff. Quests. The Crazy Climber event now requires players to kill the monsters spawned during the event to complete. I don't think I've participated in that event yet. The Jar of Souls event now spawns additional monsters in Torment 1 or higher. That's pretty awesome. The Matriarch's Bones event now spawns additional monsters in Torment 1 or higher. In campaign mode, Mangle Maw now only drops loot and gives XP before the player progresses to the Chancellor's Tomb quest. User interface. Fixed an issue where game objects were prioritized over chat links, and fixed an issue where players were sometimes unable to click on chat links at the bottom of the chat window. Alright, that's going to wrap it up and finish it off for our patch video. Go ahead and give this video a like if you did indeed like it. Comment if you have anything to say about the patch notes, whether you like them, whether you hate them, whatever. And subscribe if you'd like to see more videos in the future. Alright, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.